What do all the top names, not only in entrepreneurship, but in self-help in general, tell you? They tell you not to rely on motivation and only to rely on discipline. Because of this graph right here, they say that motivation is inconsistent, but discipline is. But there's one thing that none of them tell you about. It's that both motivation and discipline are bullshit. And that's not what they rely on. What they actually rely on is a third thing, which is accountability. And if you don't believe me, just listen to all the people that agree with me.
To your point, even of alternative education in general, when you say, hey, you could learn this stuff on YouTube, et cetera, it's not a knowledge gap. The issue is an accountability gap.
There's a service that just sells accountability. Basically, they just help people prioritize and eliminate. And I think that's pretty valuable.
We know what to do, but we can't do it because we don't have anyone observing us and anyone holding us accountable.
When you have someone looking at your stats, when you have accountability calls, it's like there's no running anywhere. You know what I mean?
Accountability is important because that's how you're going to get leverage. That's how you're going to get credibility. And if you have high accountability, that makes you less replaceable.
Now, let me tell you something. My only job is to help entrepreneurs get a higher return on their time so that they can scale their businesses. And the way that I do it is I install systems of accountability for them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the most effective and efficient 5-step accountability process that I ruthlessly stole from these top entrepreneurs so that you can execute as efficiently and as effectively as possible. And so that you'll never have to rely on discipline or motivation ever again. The first thing that you want to focus on is the elimination of alternatives. Now, let me explain to you exactly what this means. How many times as an entrepreneur do you have a to-do list with all the important things and the not so important things on the same piece of paper or on the same notes app? By the end of the day, let me guess what happens. All the not so important things are ticked off, but the actual stuff that was going to make you money, the stuff that was going to move the needle forward for your business, delivering on the landing page, launching the ads, reaching out to your clients, following up with people, none of that stuff is done. And the reason for this is actually a concept called the path of least resistance. The path of least resistance is a principle that states that when all else is kept constant, human beings, especially entrepreneurs, will pick the thing that is easiest to do. The way that you make your work so easy that you don't have to rely on either discipline or motivation is you make it the path of least resistance. And the way you make it the path of least resistance is you eliminate all the alternatives. That means that all the not so important things on your to-do list no longer go on your to-do list. There's so many entrepreneurs out there that say, I do my most important things for the day first. Why are you doing non-important things? If you get your important things done in the morning, you're done. You don't need to do anything else for the day. And by the way, at the current moment, I'm talking about all the things that you're eliminating that are quote unquote work. Some of you guys haven't even eliminated YouTube. You guys haven't even eliminated Instagram or TikTok or whatever else your vices are, whether it's the news feed or researching. All this mental masturbation is wasting your time and is stopping you from actually doing the important things that are going to get you what you really want, which is to scale your business. Next, how do you actually prioritize? The sweet number that I have personally found for entrepreneurs is 3. You want to pick 3 hits, high impact tasks. These tasks, again, either get you more customers or make them worth more. There's literally nothing else that drives the core economics of a business. That's how you actually pick the things that you're going to do. If it doesn't get you more customers, and if it doesn't make your customers worth more, there's absolutely no reason for you to be doing these tasks. And here's a pro tip. If you want these hits to be the path of least resistance, you want to break them down as much as possible. And by the way, I'm not a hypocrite. I do this literally every single day. When I'm done with my work, I plan out the next day and I break down everything bit by bit. And the way that I actually do it every day and execute on that stuff every day is with accountability. By the way, if you want this type of accountability, we're hosting a free 6-week focus challenge just for entrepreneurs. We'll assign you a dedicated coach. We'll keep you accountable not only on the week, the day, but also the hour. One of the clients that we recently started working with that owns a marketing agency actually started getting a full entire workday done before 12 p.m. while scaling their revenue. So if you want that, the link will be down in the description. And because this is a new offer, I'm taking a call every week, one-on-one with you, just to ensure that everything's running smoothly. So that'll be down in the description. And we're only taking the next 10 people that sign up. Next, once you've eliminated everything and you've prioritized 3 things, broken them down as much as possible so that they are the path of least resistance, what you want to do is you want to set a forcing trigger. The principle that this specific part of the framework relies on is something called decision fatigue. Decision fatigue is essentially a concept that states that when you have a multiplicity of decisions, you have all these choices, you enter a state of what a lot of people call analysis paralysis, a state of indecision where you don't really move forward. And so it's so hard to actually make a decision on what the thing is that you actually need to do, that you just end up getting distracted. When you set a forcing forcing trigger. It eliminates that paralysis that people enter before they can actually enter flow. The most common types of triggers that I've personally seen are timers. You have a specific work timer for an hour or 50 minutes or whatever it is. As soon as you start that, you are not allowed to do anything except for the 3 hits that you prioritize. All you need to do is start the timer. You don't even need to know what you're going to do. As soon as you start that timer, boom, you're now in work mode. It's a forcing trigger that you've entered. And again, this is one of the things that we actually implement with accountability. So the coach can actually check in every single hour that you work. But again, having that clear line between when you're not working and when you are working makes it a lot easier to transition between the two. And that's what I hear from a lot of entrepreneurs that work long hours. What do they say? There is no start or end to my workday. The reason why there is no start or end to your workday is because there is no start or end to your work. You never actually begin working, so you never actually end work. That's because you don't know what you're working on and you haven't set a forcing trigger for you to actually start on the most important things. Next, consequence-based accountability. This is probably the biggest, most important secret that I've held back from everybody. But this is what my entire business is based on. We use principles of consequence-based accountability. See, there's 2 ways that you can actually condition somebody to change their behavior. You can either reward them or you can punish them. And look, let me be honest with you. Reward sounds good, but punishment is much more effective. When you have some sort of shame or some sort of negative consequence or whatever it is, there are many different types of negative consequences attached to you not doing something. Not only on the day, but on the hour. It forces you to execute at a level that you never even imagined before. Let me give you an example for how I actually curated accountability-based deadlines. I actually had a landing page that I was delaying for a long time. The landing page that we currently had for our business wasn't converting well at all. But I was picking up all these little tasks in the business, not actually delivering the landing page that was going to boost our conversion rate and make us more money. That's actually where I first discovered this concept. I decided to enter an equity-based agreement where if I didn't deliver that landing page, I would lose a percentage of equity in my company to my business partner. That consequence forced me to actually get stuff done. But the thing is, I was always a procrastinator. When I used to be in university, they used to have end of the day deadlines. And I used to always start my work around 11:30 and used to get it done by 11:59. That's the thing that you don't want to happen, which is why this last point is so damn important, is you want to have accountability for every single hour that you work. The reason why co-working spaces are so effective is because you're surrounded by people doing the same exact activities as you. So if you have a business partner, if you have somebody else that can do the same exact activities, or even if it's a coach that can provide a bit of an invigilation effect where you feel as though you're being watched to some degree, you perform better statistically and empirically. There's a whole lot of data that talks about this. It's called body doubling. It helps with people that quote unquote have ADHD. But when you break your work down hour by hour, you don't incur the same procrastination effect that you usually have when you have to get something done by 11:59. That way you can actually have control over your time, get everything done in the morning, and then be free for the rest of the day. But hold on, there's one more thing. I want to make sure that you completely understand how all of these work together. First thing, you eliminate everything that isn't the main thing that makes you money. That includes all the shit that you usually tick off at the end of the day. You don't want to be doing that anymore. So elimination always comes first. Second thing, you prioritize. Specifically 3 high impact tasks that either get you more customers or make them worth more. You want to break these tasks down as much as possible so that they lie in the path of least resistance. Next, you want to set a forcing trigger that actually allows you to go from not working to working. This can be a timer. This can be a check-in with a coach. This can start at a defined time every day. But as soon as it starts, you have to be ready to take on your hits for the day. This minimizes the friction between you and flow, and it reduces the amount of decision fatigue that you have, so you never enter analysis paralysis. Next, you want to have consequence-based accountability. So every time you don't complete a hit, or every time you don't complete an hourly time block, you lose a percentage of equity in your business. But it can even be something like burning $50 cash, like actually burning the money. The reason why I like equity is because it's instant. It's not necessarily tangible, so it can move quickly from one thing to the other. And I know this is scary, but again, like what level, I kind of ripped this paper up, so I mean, I can't really show it to you, but what level of output do you want? If this is the level of output that you want, consistent, you have to do what 99% of people aren't willing to do, which is forcing yourself to work. And lastly, working in hourly accountability time blocks, because what that actually avoids is procrastinating your tasks to the end of the day. When all these come together, you have such a powerful grip over your time, and you can actually consistently scale your business without having to lie to yourself that you're working. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope this was helpful. If it was, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you guys leave a comment, I do read all the comments, and if I see that you've put in time to actually ask or even critique what I said in the video, usually I take a minute or two here and there to actually respond. That being said, ciao.